Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Alan, also known as McLaren 2009, and today I'm going to try again at streaming American Truck Simulator. Let's quickly select a job, preferring the external contracts for now. Oh, this is a fun one to carry in real life. Alright. Let's go with that. Alright. We're carrying waste paper, weighs about 39,000 pounds. And we're running to California. Basically, this is one of those things that I've actually carried in real life. Alright. Engines on. Turn up the windshield wipers. Turn on the headlights. And let's release the brake. Reverse. Let's see. I need to go this way. It's a little bit weird, because I have not had the pleasure of seeing too many truck stops laid out like this. I guess realistically I can't even tell you if this is a truck stop. Might just be a normal gas station. Certainly doesn't look like a truck stop. Alright. Let's bring it to a stop. Creep up a little bit. Ground. Alright. Currently driving a Peterbilt 389 with an 18-speed transmission. I have a steering wheel and a shifting lever. So I'm actually properly driving this, even though I'm a little bit out of practice. When I originally got my CDL, I qualified with a manual truck, but when I actually got to the company that I worked for, I had a completely automatic truck, so I didn't even use my manual training. Although the trucks that I qualified on were all 10 speeds. Alright, I think this is the customer I'm going to. But how do I get in? Okay, right here. Alright. So, we're going to get backed up to this trailer, and we're going to head to California. Delivery only. Okay, this is the way to go. Alright, hazard lights on. And I guess realistically, well, I can't downshift until I actually come to a stop. I mean, in theory, I could downshift now. Alright. Let's take a look. Oh. Well, that's not good. That's my trailer. Alright. Let's get this party started. Alright. Alright, let's keep the camera centered for now. This is not gonna be fun. I gotta dig this trailer out. This is one of those times where you just know the guy on the loading dock is gonna be sitting there judging you. Even though he knows damn well he couldn't get this trailer out if he tried. Alright. Somehow, I got hooked up to it. And since I know this is 39,000 pounds, I'm going to start in first gear. Even though what's really going to suck is the fact that if the tandem axles are in compliance with the 40-foot rule, I've probably got the tail of the trailer sticking out a little farther than I would like, so I gotta be really careful to make sure that I don't sideswipe the building, which, as you can probably imagine, customers don't like it when you do that. Alright, now let's get this big thing turned around. Oh, this just gets worse and worse. Okay. Cut the wheel in the opposite direction. We're gonna have to jackknife the trailer a little bit more than we're supposed to. Oh, no, still not far enough. Let's take a look at the external camera. Oh, actually, I have a rather long wheelbase on this truck. So I'm actually not clipping the cab. What are you... Oh, that's fair. I definitely did not hit that car, but what can you do? Alright. And let's turn off the windshield wipers. We don't need those anymore. Okay. Alright, now we gotta stay tight to the left over here. Because when we make this turn, even though getting out of here was a bit of a mess. I would rather not clip this row of hedges. Getting out of here. Alright, turn signal on. Wait for this guy to pass. Kind of taking his sweet time, but whatever. Although I guess realistically, I don't actually need to start in first gear, because if I remember correctly, I have this truck set up as like a very severe duty truck. It has like 500 or 600 horsepower. So it's perfectly set up to haul really big things. And 40,000 pounds is just heavy for like a normal 200-300 horsepower truck. But the catch is that I'm out on the west coast in the game, and the mountains are a little bit bigger. Most of the stuff I've had to deal with isn't that bad. Alright. Let's get onto the highway. Shift up. Alright, trailer's in the lane. Shift up again. Shift up. This is 900 miles. Yeah, in real life, this would be like a 3-day trip for me. So we're gonna see how far we can get before we need to sleep. And go from there. Alright, cruise control's on. Now we just sit back and enjoy the ride. I guess I missed a grade sign back there because I sped up a lot. I didn't believe it at first when I was in my class to get my CDL, but the instructor said that driving on the highway is probably the easiest part of driving a truck. And pretty much that's true. Even with like a manual truck like this, you just set the cruise control and keep it between the lines. The only time it starts to get complicated is when you encounter traffic, construction, stuff like that. And alright, we're staying on this, going towards Phoenix. I don't think I've made this delivery before. Alright. I need you to get out of the way. Alright. Oddly enough, it would actually be easier to play this in VR, because then I can actually turn my head and look around. was playing it like this, even though I have a better view of my controls and all of that, I have to take my hand off the wheel to hit the mouse to move to a different angle, and that kind of sucks. But the good news is that the graphics are better, and I have better control of my wheel and my external keypad that I use to control everything else. So it's easier to play it on the flat monitor, but it's easier to drive in VR. Alright. Set the cruise control again. And let's just go down the road. Okay, the GPS says it's going to take 15 and a half hours. In what world are you going 800 miles in 15 hours? Yeah, that just is not happening. I had always hoped, or I had always heard from the beginning, that you want to get 500 miles a day. Alright, pretty straightforward. Alright, I think we're getting off here. Oh boy. Okay. Well, we're going to San Diego. Arizona City. Okay. Okay. Down the road we go. So yeah, I had always heard from the beginning that you want to get 500 miles a day. But since I drove on the East Coast, and I found myself going up into New England a lot, where the traffic's a little rough. Getting 500 miles a day didn't always work out. I would be happy to get 300 or 400 miles a day. Granted, there were still times that I absolutely did get 500 miles. But those were kind of few and far between. Alright, let's get back caught up again. No, not that. I put my turn signal and light controls on the steering wheel to try to make my life a little bit easier. And where the cruise control is, it's in the same place on my car. It's on the opposite side of the steering wheel in the truck, but either way, that's where it is. And then the steering wheel, or the turn signals, you got the lever on the back. Okay, I don't think I'm going that way, so stay in this lane. Split back down to 17. asking me how long it would take me to make this delivery, I would probably say 3 days just to be safe, because I don't know what the traffic's like out here. And since I don't know the area very well, and it would be my first time heading up that way, yeah, I'd probably say 3 days. Because, as you know, we have 11 hours to drive, and that's... So you got 14 hours to work, 11 hours to drive. And that's all continuous. Alright, let's gears again. But you don't really appreciate just how long 11 hours is. And then you probably don't think too much of it, but when you're sitting in traffic for like several hours, even though you're not doing anything, that gets exhausting quick. Gotta love how the game also includes the colorful messages that the DOT puts on the highway. Like, I'm half expecting to pass the next reader board sign, and it's gonna say, "You're not a firework, don't drive lit." And even though they're good messages, it's just, they're so absurd, you just can't help but laugh. This is something you get used to really quick. Most, like, big company trucks have speed governors, so you're going generally slower than everything else on the road. And that's actually for a really good reason. It's really hard to stop a truck, especially one that's loaded to capacity. So it's just simple physics. Force is mass times acceleration. A lot of mass going fast means it's going to hit really, really hard. So, personally, I'm completely fine with a separate speed limit for trucks. But you kind of have to get used to the fact that you're going to get passed by literally everything. And then it's kind of like what some people would call like a turtle race. Because not only are we getting passed by the cars, we're getting passed by other trucks too. because when you get to it's like when you get to steep hills, heavy trucks are going to slow down, while light trucks are going to, well, they're still going to slow down, but they'll be able to speed up past you, and then they'll be able to accelerate up to their governor and the limitations of what their truck can do with that specific load. And then the faster truck will pass you, or the lighter, faster truck will pass the heavier, slower truck. And then you start going downhill, and then they kind of switch places, and the heavier truck will go down the hill faster than the lighter truck. So you'll just be going back and forth, passing each other for miles on end. It literally never ends. And then you get onto like the flat straightaways, and whichever truck has a faster governor, or whichever one doesn't have a governor, is going to pass the one that does have one. Basically, you're just always overtaking someone being overtaken. It just comes with the job. And the buses in this game are a little bit slow sometimes. So more than likely I'm going to have to pass this guy. I don't know why they did it that way with the game, because the tour buses are like definitely faster than trucks on the road. And we're hitting the rumble strip. Okay. Yeah, I get passed by buses all the time. I have no idea why they made the buses slower than the trucks. And let's get back over. You want to cancel the turn signal after you see the trailer get into the lane. I didn't even realize the speed limit went down. That's the other thing that's kind of like weird. In real life, you have to be really like cognizant of what's going on around you. So you have to pay real close attention to every sign, signal, everything you see. Okay, so that's what's going on. This section has a truck speed limit of 55. Must mean I'm getting closer to California. They got their speed limits are a little bit more like that, or so I've heard anyway. Even in training, I never made it all the way out to California. I've only ever been to I've been as far west as Denver, Colorado. Been through literally every other state on the East Coast, but not out west. wouldn't mind going out that way, though. Like, I wanted to see the desert, but haven't gotten out there yet. It's supposed to be really pretty. So this will take us to LA. I think the only time I drove down this road in the game is when I did the tutorial. Say tutorial, but this is another one of those games that they kind of forget to teach you how to play. Because I started playing this getting ready to start my CDL course. So I hadn't actually driven a truck yet. Oh, we need to go to 15. And so I didn't have the slightest idea, like, how many gears does a truck have? How do you shift gears? Didn't know any of that. So I loaded up this game for the very first time ever, and I loaded it up for the first time ever, and then it's like, okay, how do I make the truck move? I thought if I shift up, because I didn't even have my shifting lever at the time, I was using the paddle shifters on the back of the wheel, and I shifted up to first gear, and then it's like, okay, how do you make the truck move? And then I would hit the gas, and I would be going like 5 miles an hour, and then it's like, okay, how do I go faster? And then you find out that you've got like at least 10 gears to go through, and I didn't find out until I got to my actual class that, oh, just a heads up, you're already in 6th gear before you get to 15 miles an hour. And that is just something you don't think about until you drive a truck. Flatbed, SUV. Flatbeds are really cool, but that's a slightly harder job. The thing I hauled in real life was exclusively dry vans. So the closest thing I ever had to do to load securement was when you pick up a trailer of beer from like Anheuser-Busch or something like that. You've got to, before you leave the facility, you got to climb up into the trailer and put tie-down straps across the last couple of pallets. But that's the only thing I've ever had to do. Whereas the guys that have these flatbeds, they have, it could be like an 80 to 150 pound tarp they've got to pull over whatever they're hauling. They've got tie-down straps that run across the entire load. And then for really heavy stuff, they don't even use the straps, they use chains instead. There's just a lot more stuff you have to worry about with those. And then they told us early on that the DOT loves flatbeds, because when you pull into a weigh station and they see that your tie-down straps are kind of like frayed and damaged, there's a really good chance they're going to pull you in for a DOT inspection, because, well, if you let your, it's like if you didn't really check your tie-down straps, what are the chances that you checked anything else? So they're gonna start looking for other things that you missed. And I'm going too slow. I think I'm gonna head up to 5 and take that north. I don't know for sure. Let's keep an eye on the tachometer. It's telling me to get over, but that would be a problem if this lane ends. I can stay in 15. Oh boy. Alright. We are not going there. This would be another one of those cases where if I was more familiar with the area, I would have already known that that lane was going to end, and I would not have gotten into that lane in the first place. But this time, alright, trailers in the lane. Yep, we're taking 5 north. Okay, let's shift down. Hopefully I didn't shift down too soon. Or too late, I should say. Yeah, you don't want to shift on a hill. Because with the real trucks, if you miss your gear, your truck's going to stay in neutral, and that's going to be bad. You'll have a runaway truck before you know it. Alright. Alright, so apparently 15 is where it's at for 55. Split up to 16. And cruise control. Alright, so we're somewhere around Barstow or LA. Alright, let's go to the map. We're gonna need a rest area. Perfect. Yeah, because if you look at my gauge over there, I'm gonna need to sleep soon. And since it's almost midnight, I would have shut down a long time ago. Alright. Okay. It sounds like the Jake brake's active. Oh, this isn't good. Okay. Nope. Alright, this is gonna be interesting. Alright. In real life? What you would do is you would you'd keep the brake held until you feel the clutch grab, and then you release the brake. You don't have to worry about rolling back after you feel the clutch grab, because you have enough power to pull the load. But you don't really, in the game, you don't feel the vibration when the clutch takes hold, or when the clutch engages. So you can't really do what you're supposed to do. Alright. So I had to improvise and try to set the parking brake and then go back down to first gear and try to come to a stop that way. Oh, this is not good. Alright. It says it's a parking lot. Alright. We're gonna jug handle this one so we don't pop the curb. Even though realistically we're probably going to anyway. Okay. Okay. Fully rested. And let's try this again. Okay, this is just a disaster. Alright, let's go. No, that's gonna end poorly. Yeah, pro tip, this is not where you want to park. Just missed the curb. Oh, this is just a nightmare. Yeah, I would not have chosen this as where I was going to park. I would have stopped on the ramp before I even tried coming in here. Reefer box truck. Okay. Now this is where it starts getting a little bit interesting. Let me look at the... Okay, I'm far away from that. And I'm pretty sure we kissed the pole. Alright. that's a big curve too, so... Okay. Yeah, that's a curve that's gonna, like, rip your tires off. Yeah, don't do that in real life. Alright. Now let's get back on the freeway and hope for the best. Didn't go far enough over. Yeah, all that stuff I said about not shifting on hills just completely went out the window. Even though I wrecked yesterday in the game. Alright, 327 miles. So we're actually making pretty good time, all things considered. Steep grade. That's reassuring. Alright. Slow vehicles only. Yeah, that's definitely me at the moment, considering I'm at least should be around 70,000 pounds. Still holding RPM on the tachometer, so I don't need to downshift again. But I gotta come back down. Alright, what do we got? What goes up must come down. There would also be a sign telling you what the ramp is made of, so you have an idea of how hard it's gonna hurt, or how much it's gonna hurt when you hit it. looks like we're taking this exit. So let's turn on the turn signal. Even though we're in an exit-only lane. It is what it is. And downshift. Hopefully it's not too late. Is you don't want to get stuck on the hill. Especially since the game's kind of finicky with the clutch. So you can't do what you would do in real life. So if you get stopped, there's a really good chance in the game you're gonna roll back. And wouldn't you know it, the AI is not capable of defensive driving. So they're just going to be right up behind your bumper. So yeah, they'll be right up touching your ICC bumper on the back of the trailer. And then when you roll back, because you can't work the clutch like you really would, you hit the car behind you, you get fined. It's a bad time for everybody. Pretty cool how when you're actually have been around trucks for a little while, you can instantly start recognizing like different makes and models before you even see any badges and decals. Just by like the shape of the body, you already know what kind of truck it is. And then in real life, you start to learn what companies are out there, and when you're around enough of their trucks, you start to figure out who has a governor, who doesn't, or who's faster, slower. Stuff like that. Alright, just 233 miles to go. Yeah, I guess playing it safe and saying 3 days wouldn't have worked out like I thought it would. But then again, the game kind of has like the ideal circumstances. Every once in a while it'll throw like a curveball at you, and you'll get like road construction, an accident on your side of the road where it'll block one lane. You'll get stuff like that. But in the game, it doesn't happen nearly as often as it does in real life. Alright. Even though we're a little... well, we're not heavy. We're under the legal limit by like a lot. That thing right there is actually something real that you see driving a truck. It's not modeled in the game. Yeah, it's not modeled in the game, but we have a thing we call a pre-pass transponder. Oh, no, actually it's right there. It's the little blue window decal. The real one is bigger than that. But basically what happens is there's a sensor in the road that gives the operators in the scale or in the weigh station an idea of what your truck weighs, and then the transponder is paired with your company's DOT number, and so they know what your company's record and reputation is, and if you have a legal weight, like none of the axles are over the limit and your company has a good reputation, more than likely you'll get a green light to bypass the weigh station. However, if your weight is close to the limit and your company does not have as good of a record, you'll probably get pulled into the weigh station, or you'll have to enter the weigh station and cross the scale. It's like you'll have to cross the scale, and then that's where the question of your company's record comes into play, because if you cross the scale and your weight's legal and good, you just get the green light and get back on the road. Whereas if your company is not so good, you might get a surprise DOT inspection where instead of getting the signal to get back on the highway, you get called around to the back of the weigh station and they're going to inspect your truck. I was fortunate that I never had a DOT inspection. But a lot of other people have. And then, like, if you have, say, a weight permit allowing you to be over the legal limit, it's almost guaranteed you're going to get inspected when you pull into the weigh station. Especially if you're actively using your weight permit. Supposedly they're really easy to get, but I never got one. Didn't really have anything that was overweight anyway. Most of the stuff I dealt with, you could correct it just by moving the axles on the trailer. And then there was one time that it was when I had just gotten my most recent truck. I got upgraded from a Freightliner to a Kenworth. And whoever had the truck before me, they had the fifth wheel slid all the way to the back, which isn't necessarily a problem, but it means that your steering axles are really light. It was something like 10,500 pounds when the legal limit is 12,000 pounds. And the specific route that I was working on, I had a lot of heavy things. Generally, the heaviest things for me were like water and beer. Those were generally the things that were at the limit for me. And I went to I went to a cat scale because I was weighing a limit, or I was weighing a load. Yeah, it's like I was weighing one of my loads, and basically I saw when I looked at the scale ticket that my steering axles were lighter than they've ever been, and both my tandem and drive axles were like 33,900 and like 34,100. So I had to push the axles, or had to push the tandems all the way forward, and I was still overweight on like the drive axles, so the only thing left was to move the fifth wheel. So I got it pushed all the way forward instead, and then I got it three notches back, and it was just like I finally got it to where it was just under the limit. And that was the first time I ever had to move the fifth wheel itself. But moving the fifth wheel is literally your last option. It can only really adjust like a couple 100 pounds forward or backwards. So it's literally your last ditch effort to try to get it to a legal weight, otherwise you have to be reloaded. And that would be a nightmare in and of itself, because the places that you get those loads are extremely busy, and you were loaded on like a strict schedule, and if they have to reload you, or they have to take stuff off, they have to squeeze you back in to get loaded or unloaded, and they've already got a line of trucks they have to load or unload, and now they have to squeeze you in too. It's just not good. And then actually having that experience with having to move the fifth wheel, I learned the correct way that you're supposed to do it. So if I ever found myself in a position where I had to teach it or explain it to somebody, now I can actually tell you the trick on how you do it. In the book, it said something like, you can only do it when you're loaded. And just like moving the trailer axles, you set the brakes on the trailer, release the brakes on the tractor, and then pull forward or unlock the pin, and then you pull forward or backwards to move the fifth wheel. Except with the tandem axles, you move towards the weight. With the fifth wheel, you do the opposite. Well, what I found out was that the best way to do it was to, the best way to do it, it didn't matter if you were loaded or empty. What I found out was that the best way is to lower the landing gear on the trailer so that it takes pressure off of the fifth wheel. And then when I did it, it was best to do it when you were unhooking from the trailer. You lower the landing gear, remove the hoses, take care of all of that, and then you unlock the pins for the fifth wheel, and then you pull forward or backwards without releasing the kingpin. And that was the best way to do it. What took an hour the first time became a 10-minute evolution. It took longer to park the trailer than it did to move the fifth wheel. So yeah, I learned the hard way that there's a better, easier way to do that. And it's actually insanely easy, but you don't want to have to do it. Because by moving the fifth wheel forward, you put more weight, or you take weight off of the drive axles and distribute it forward on the steering axles. But you also you tighten up your turn radius for the combination for the entire tractor trailer, but then you're also bringing the front of the trailer closer to the back of the cab. So even though you have a tighter turn radius, you're inching closer and closer until the corner of your trailer is going to clip the back of your cab or your aerodynamic fairings, stuff like that. So you have to do it really, really carefully. Alright, slow down a little bit. Downshift. Alright, we are literally here. It would be depressing to roll the truck now. I'm still on like a highway. I guess maybe I'm not. Alright. Oh boy. Well, might as well come to a complete stop now. Okay, that's why the speed limit was only 30. Because the highway ended. Alright. And the dry bulk tanker is right on the line. All right. All right. Oh, I turned on my turn signal way too soon. I wasn't even at the intersection yet. Up against the line. So I want to make this turn as smooth as I can. Alright. Go forward. Past. Center. Shift up. Keep an eye on the tandems. Shift up again, and just like that, I've successfully navigated the turn. Now for the hard part. Alright. Past the gate. Oh, I got a bad feeling about this one. Hazard lights on. All right. Where the hell is that? All right. Oh. They want it there. Oh boy. Yeah, not looking forward to this one. Alright, let's make it happen. Alright, what you want to do to set this up is stay tight as you can to here. Okay, at least the saving grace is there's a good amount of space between this parking spot and that trailer. But the problem is there's not a lot of room to maneuver. Alright, about there. Nope. Alright. if this doesn't work, I'm probably going to have to just forego the precision bonus. Okay, let's... There's no way. So, pull up to here. Alright. I think that was the sound of grinding the gear. And that's the sound of hitting the building. Okay. If I just... No, I have to go this way. To get this in here. All right. There's no way that's... Nope, that's gonna slam into the container. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. am I going to do this? Okay. Okay, this is annoying. Is this actually going to go in? Okay, change plans. Alright, let's look at the front. I don't believe it. Okay. Somehow I now have the exact opposite problem that I had when I started. Okay. I need to turn right. No, I need to turn left. Yeah, this trailer's gonna be all messed up. Okay. Okay. Alright, at this point we're committed to it. It's going in. It would be fine if I was lined up properly. This just exemplifies why you need to get out and look. Okay. Hard left. Oh, I am so close, but... Yeah, like I am literally there. No freaking way. Oh, that was a mess. Alright, we need a gas station. That was a little rough. Okay, let's go back into the cab. In real life, there'd be a trailer there. I would have a really hard time getting out of this warped position I got myself into. If you really want a bad time, look at those. matter of fact, let's go sleep first. Then we'll go to the gas station. Yeah, there's no point in going through all of that trouble if I can't, or if I'm going to get a penalty for not resting and violating hours of service. Rest, go over and get some fuel. Electric, engine, gear. It is kind of cool that the game has simulated like companies that are kind of like the real ones, but different enough that it doesn't cause any like copyright concerns. About a half a tank. Alright. Let's pull up behind this street sweeper. Really weird because the street sweeper would have its lights on if it's actually doing its job. Have little amber beacon lights. That kind of let you know that it's going to be a hazard blocking the road. Shift up. once again, this is not a truck stop, but you can get fuel. Because a truck stop, they have the pumps on both sides, and you pretty much would not, under any circumstances, drive a tractor into a normal car fuel pump. Is you want to put diesel into both sides. And it's currently 6:34. It's a little bit high, but it is what it is. Alright. Well, I think I'm gonna call it here. This has been a much more successful stream than I had yesterday. I actually didn't have the internet fail on me. So, thank you all for watching, and have a nice day.